Testing is not rebounding. And this is really important. It's not you being desperate. It's not trying to fill a void. It's not grabbing the first warm body or searching for validation in somebody else or from somebody else. It's definitely not about using someone else to avoid your own healing journey. It's not about those things. Testing is you. Hi, welcome to the Joy Act podcast, where strategy meets soul and healing after divorce gets real. I'm Dr. Lisa Summerhour, author of Divorce is Not a Destination and the creator of the ACT framework, which is the foundation for the Professional Woman's Divorce Recovery Program. Now today, I am going to be exploring another stage in the loss cycle, and this one is called testing. This is the moment where you begin to experiment with life. It's the stage where I think I would describe it as where your curiosity wakes up. So after you've been through the weight of depression, and even if depression hasn't hit you yet, you eventually get to a point where your spirit says, okay, what now? Like, what's next? Testing is when you look at your life and you start asking, what's possible? What are some of the things that I can try now? What might feel good again or feel good for the first time? And what might help me to rebuild? It's a time of experimenting, exploring, and gently re-entering the world. It's also, I think, one of the most beautiful stages because it's where you remember that life is still an option for you. Life still has color. You still have choices. And now it's time to explore those choices. So before you begin testing, you will need clarity. I mean, you can't brainstorm solutions until you've identified what the actual problem is, right? So this is about not what's wrong with me, because I don't really do all of the what's wrong with me thing. It's about how will I deal with this? You might even ask, how can I position myself to grow from this? Because you want to get to a place where you're answering the question, how do I live joyfully on the other side of all of this? So remember that your mind works to answer whatever question you ask it. So ask smart questions, maybe better questions. How's that? Ask questions that are rooted in possibility. And I really recommend that you write your questions down and then say them out loud so you can hear them. Let your brain go to work. And here's something you may not know. You definitely do want to sleep on it. Sleep expert Matthew Walker, and I just watched him get interviewed by Stephen Bartlett on the Diary of a CEO. If you haven't seen that, look for that. Matter of fact, I may even put a link to that episode in the bottom, in the information for this post. But Matthew Walker reminds us that our brains don't shut off when we're sleeping, when we're resting. They actually reorganize information for us. While you sleep, your brain is doing three really powerful things. It is consolidating what matters and letting go of what doesn't. It is connecting ideas that seemed unrelated during the day. And it's calming the emotional charge around stressful decisions. Your brain is really busy when you're sleeping. That's why one of the reasons sleep is so important. And that's why you can often wake up with an aha moment or a sense of clarity that you didn't have the night before. Has that ever happened to you? It's happened to me quite a bit. I used to tell people I had clarity and answers in the morning because God was speaking to me when I was sleeping because I was not able to talk back. So when you're in the testing mode and you're asking big questions, give yourself permission to sleep on them because your brain will keep working on them even when you're not aware of it. What testing looks like in real life, testing doesn't mean I've arrived, I've got it all figured out. It does mean you're willing to try some things now. And it could look small or bold or completely unexpected. And it could look like you signing up for a pottery class or a cooking workshop or hot yoga, maybe an art lecture. Not because it's going to fix your whole life, but because you're curious again. You give yourself permission to try the things you used to say, oh, maybe one day. You used to say maybe one day about them, and now you're thinking about doing them. So it could be things like visiting a museum that you've been wanting to see, or taking a really slow, leisurely walk around a new neighborhood. Take yourself to lunch. Yeah, you by yourself. Just take yourself on a lunch date. What about taking a day trip somewhere that reminds you you're still here? This is a great time for you to get out and actually start meeting people again. So maybe it's a networking event. Maybe you join a book club. Think of things that you've missed doing or things that you were curious about doing and didn't want to step out and try them. So maybe joining a hiking group or taking a class at a community center. I did this years ago because I've always been interested in photography, but I took a class at one of the local community centers, and the instructor was the same professor that was teaching teaching photography at a local university. I was getting him for 6 weeks for like $50 total, I think it was, for 6 weeks, something ridiculous like that. And so you can find some amazing things that don't have to cost a lot of money, don't even have to take a lot of your time, but it just allows you to get out. Now, I am in a business group, and one of the exercises we were given during our onboarding into this program was to imagine yourself where you want to be in 5 years, 10 years, something that's maybe above or beyond what you're used to, and put yourself in that environment. So maybe you go to a hotel lobby and have coffee in the lobby or have lunch at the restaurant, and it's a very plush, maybe very expensive place that you would not normally take yourself. But go plop yourself in, get dressed up, look the part, and go and spend some time there. Some people went and looked at houses. They went to an open house at $1 million home because it's something that they see in their future. Other people went and test drove really expensive cars or the car of their dreams, whatever that is. So those are things that you can do that are just fun. And it might be a little bit uncomfortable, but a little discomfort isn't going to hurt you. But these are things that you can do to start exercising and experimenting with just getting outside of what's become normal for you, all right? Now, keep this stuff in mind. These are not things that you're doing to replace your ex, okay? You're also not doing these things to prove that you have moved on.
You've built a successful career, checked all the right boxes, but after divorce, why does it feel like everything is falling apart? Searching for answers online at 2 a.m., it will not bring you peace. Neither will pretending you're fine when inside you're anything but.
I remember those feelings, the exhaustion, the anxiety, and the frustration from feeling stuck. It seemed like no matter what I did, I could not figure out a way to move past the pain. If you are dealing with a divorce while you're also managing your career, I've been there. Things didn't get better for me until I stopped waiting for time to heal me and I took control of my own healing. And that's how this came about. That's why I designed the 4 essential steps to creating joy after a difficult divorce.
It's time to break the cycle. Imagine waking up feeling lighter, knowing exactly what to do next, and rediscovering your joy, not just surviving, but thriving. In this masterclass, you'll learn the biggest mistakes that keep you stuck in divorce pain, why traditional recovery methods don't always work for high-achieving women, and the 4 essential steps to rebuilding your confidence and joy. Give yourself permission to stop reliving the past and start designing the future you deserve. Register today.
No, you're doing these things because you're still here. You're still here in this world, a part of the community of humanity, and you deserve to make yourself visible and to experience what life really can be like for you now that your life has changed the way it's changed. Let's talk about your professional life. Because very often this part, I was speaking to someone today, I did a meet and greet with somebody today, and we got on this conversation about divorce and work and how people show up online. And she said, I can imagine that a lot of your people won't respond to posts that you post, especially on LinkedIn, where they don't want people in their professional lives to even know what's going on. So they might DM me, or we could have a private one-on-one, but they may not be posting directly under some of the things that I post on there. Because going through a divorce, it does not just impact your personal life. And if you've ever gone through a divorce or a significant breakup, you already know that. Our professional lives take a hit as well. I like to say The emotions around your divorce, the issues surrounding your divorce, do not know that they're supposed to sit in the parking lot when you go into the office in the morning. When you're in this testing stage, you may even feel ready to make some changes professionally because you're coming out of some of these other stages with a different kind of energy. And when you get into testing, your energy has shifted, and it has shifted in a wonderful way. Think about this. When was the last time you refreshed your LinkedIn profile or any other business profile that you might have? Or when was the last time you updated your resume? What about getting into a leadership program or taking a course that just stretches you professionally? And you could do something that I just started doing recently. DM folks on LinkedIn. Go into their DMs and invite them to have a 15-minute virtual coffee chat with you. It is a great way to meet people, to just learn about them. You're not trying to sell anything. It really is just to get yourself out there and meet people and find out who they are and what they're doing, and maybe even ask them, so what are you looking for? I'm gonna give you one of my favorite questions to ask somebody when you meet them at a networking event or any event. And I did this about 2 weeks ago, and the look on the person's face, she was like, so excited. And I asked this one question: tell me something you're working on right now that has you excited. Take that question, just put that one in your back pocket. That is a go-to question, no matter where you are, what you're doing, or who you're with. And it's so much better than, so what do you do? What are you working on right now that has you so excited, that just has you excited? And people will tell you things that you might not have otherwise gotten out of them because it may not have anything to do with what they do for a living. That question could have eliminated a whole laundry list of things that they were excited about, okay? But this is one thing that you can do. You're on these business groups. Maybe it's a chamber of commerce that you join. Maybe it's some other networking group. These little 15-minute virtual coffees are easy to do. No one has to leave their office or leave home. And you can decide if you want to make it a phone call or a video chat. I have a video chat set up, and I'm about to change the letter that they get, the notification that confirms them, so that it says come as you are, because I have days of the week where I'm like this for camera, and then I have other days of the week where I might work in my pajamas all day, but I definitely have not put makeup on. So I want them to know they could come as they are as well. I want you to rethink how you're looking at this. So instead of looking at this as starting over, I want you to think about it as just starting smarter. Okay, you're just going to do some things a little differently. And let's go into, instead of thinking about this as starting over, I want you to think about it as just starting smarter. The next thing I want to talk to you about is dating. What about dating? And I know for a lot of people, if this is really new, you're just coming out of a relationship, this could be the last thing on your mind. Matter of fact, you may be at a point in your life where you have sworn off dating. But just in case, I want to make sure I cover that for the people who are either interested in it now or they know at some point they will be. And this is why, depending on your age, depending on how long you've been out of the dating scene, it's quite possible that a lot has changed. 25 years ago, whatever, the idea of having a dating profile probably would not have entered your mind because it wasn't a thing. But you want to be able to create a dating profile and learn how to do that. And you want to do it slowly and carefully. You want to take your time with that. Not with this energy of, I need to get me a man, or I'm ready to get remarried again, but with an energy that's more like, I want to see how I'm showing up now. And I want to practice honoring my boundaries. What does that look like for me? How is it going to feel? I want to learn how to say yes, and I want to learn how to say no. Okay? So testing in dating, it's not about you trying to get into a committed relationship right away. It's about collecting data. It's about seeing where you've grown and where you still need to. So don't look at testing as a way to get into a rebound relationship. Testing is not rebounding. And this is really important. It's not you being desperate. It's not trying to fill a void. It's not grabbing the first warm body or searching for validation in somebody else or from somebody else. It's definitely not about using someone else to avoid your own healing journey. It's not about those things. Testing is you re-entering your own story on your terms. I want you to think about it as curiosity, not craving. So there's no sense of this desperation. Oh, I got to do this. I got to do this right. Testing just says, I don't need someone to save me, but I'm willing to see who I am now. And you want to do this intentionally. And your boundaries, if you do this intentionally, your boundaries are going to strengthen. You're going to get much more comfortable with them. They're going to improve. You're going to improve how you deal with your boundaries. You can also strengthen your self-trust in this phase, okay? This is where you position yourself for your courage to grow, because you're out here actually testing the waters and experimenting and trying new things and seeing what fits and what doesn't, and what works and what feels good and what doesn't. So this mindset, this whole mindset around testing, it's exploratory. It's not definitive. You're just collecting data right now. Think of it like dipping your toe in the water, not diving in headfirst into the deep end. There are some questions that I think are really good questions to ask. What feels good to you? What feels like it's aligned with who you are and how you want to show up? Maybe this one, real personal. What feels like me now? What feels like a good fit? What is it that is feeling like it's stretching me for growth? Those things are really important. The other side of that coin would be questions like, what no longer fits? And sometimes these questions are actually easier to deal with, because you know what makes you uncomfortable, what things drain you, what energy, what people, what situations just exhaust you, they don't feel good. When do you feel like you're trying to force something? This is where you can reclaim your real power. It's not from having all the answers, it's from being willing to experiment. So you want to know how to ask yourself the right questions, because your brain is always trying to answer the question that you ask it. Be mindful of how you ask and what you ask. Instead of, what did I do wrong? You can ask, what am I ready for next? What am I ready for now? Instead of, why did this happen to me? Have you ever said that one? I think we all have at some point. Why did this happen to me? Because your brain is going to try to give you answers to why this happened to you, and they're probably not going to be good. They might not be real accurate, but they're probably not going to make you feel good. So what about, what can I build from this? What can I learn from this? Instead of, will I ever be happy again? You can ask, how can I create joy in my life today? Testing is not about achieving perfection. It's about shifting your questions so your mind can finally support your healing instead of sabotaging it. Now, in my program and in my masterclass, actually, I introduce my ACT framework, and that's A.A.C.T, accountability, alignment, communication, and trust. And if I wanted to help you integrate that into the testing stage, it would look like this. Accountability would be, I'm responsible for showing up for myself in new ways. Alignment might be how we choose actions that support the woman that we're becoming, the person that we're becoming. Communication would be how we speak honestly about ourselves and with ourselves. Have an honest conversation with yourself. And then trust. The last one is trust. How can you trust yourself enough to try again? Even when you're not certain, you can still trust yourself to try again. So testing can be a beautiful stage because it reminds you that you're still alive. You're still growing. You're still capable of joy, discovery, and having new beginnings in your life, no matter what stage or age you're at. And you don't need to rush it. You don't need to judge it. Just let yourself experiment and explore. Allow yourself to come back to life at your own pace. In the next episode, I'm going to be talking about the acceptance stage in the loss cycle and what it looks like to rebuild your life from a solid place, from solid ground. Until then, please remember that divorce is not a destination, because your life is bigger and brighter and more meaningful than any one experience. So be good to yourself. I'll see you next time.